I'm Jimmy Asher. I'm the Director of Product Strategy for Savagent Software, where I get to spend my 20 years of experience helping us produce software that provides manufacturers a more agile way to deploy problems inside of their manufacturing operations. So if you think about typical problems inside of manufacturing, optimization is key. You've heard that several times throughout today's session, talking about optimization. And at the heart of it, optimization is to produce things better, quicker, and more complex. So if you think about it, you're going to have to produce and introduce new products constantly, while at the same time, those products are oftentimes more complex than they ever have been before. And you need to get them out with a higher degree of quality, okay? At the same time, typical manufacturers, this shouldn't be revolutionary to anybody inside of the room, are dealing with typical problems inside of labor, equipment, and energy. How do you save those resources? And oftentimes that comes down to money, right? But sometimes it could be a resource constraint. How do you do more with less people or the same people while holding those other things that you're trying to optimize at an increasing level? Okay. So touching on the system that Jim touched on earlier today is if you think about phones, okay? How many people would define phones as a way to talk to people? Raise your hands. Okay, a few people. How many people would define a phone as a means of communication? A few more hands, right? So over the years, if you think about what phone systems have evolved to, they've gone from this person-to-person type of communication to a device that supports communication from person to person or from party to party, right? There could be multiple people involved inside of that interaction now. It's not just a phone call, it's oftentimes another way for that communication, text, email, for example. Well, if you think about that same evolution process as manufacturing's evolved, so have the systems that have supported it, right? So if you start thinking about the traditional systems way of deploying was paper-based inside of manufacturing. Oftentimes that was focused, the pieces of paper that routed around production were focused at the cell unit. What instructions needed to be given at a particular time and moment for that particular operation. And it moved from one cell to another cell, right? So as manufacturing evolved, we introduced manufacturing execution systems, or MES. They tend to be site-focused, right? No longer just focused at the cell. And this time, they're starting to focus on the optimization of schedule. How do I manufacture things in a more common and like manner, right? So evolution progresses, moving into smart manufacturing. Now we extrapolate from the manufacturing plant, from the cell to the plant, all the way to the supply chain, as Jim was talking about earlier. At the same time, we're optimizing the overall process of manufacturing. So it's not just how you produce things in a common way, like you would inside of traditional MES deployments, but how can you produce those things in a variable format? Give you an example. In traditional systems, that infomercial that Jim was talking about you to create a mental image earlier today was picture a manufacturing plant, right? A lot of people tend to get this vision of the same boxes or same part whizzing down a manufacturing line. Well, if you look at manufacturing today, oftentimes there's a variety of different products that are zipping down that manufacturing line, and they alternate from part to part. So as that part arrives inside of a cell, now all of the systems have to click in line and optimize for the process inside of that one unit. And then the next part arrives, same thing. All of that data and information has to be aligned in real time for that to occur. So if we look at a quick way of all of the systems that are involved inside of that approach, how can you empower people in order to support those systems? Well, it comes down to the applications that Jim was touching about earlier and the other panelists, from the standpoint of what pain points do manufacturers have? How can they deliver? And those applications bridge a unit of technologies and systems to work together, right? You have to have common things that people talk about, such as equipment connectivity, device connectivity, not only from a system approach of standard protocols, but communication between multiple vendors, right? Not just within inside of the ecosystem of the Savagent software, but how does it talk to Rockwell? How does it talk to OSI Pi? How does it talk to Emerson, right? Sharing of that data along the application is key. With inside of it, you have to process and manipulate that data and apply context. You have to store that data someplace. You have to visualize it. You have to alert and do algorithm detection and event detection on top of it. And sometimes those take you down very complex detection algorithm methods, but are critical for our platform with inside of smart manufacturing. And then a key fundamental part on allowing all of that is workflow. How do you coordinate the people and the systems together so that those dynamic parts that are arriving on side of a line can converge, while at the same time enforcing business processes? That's through workflow automation, right? Taking typical events that arrive on side of manufacturing and responding to them in a documented, flowed way through business process in real time. Okay. Thank you.